The 90s are generally considered the golden age of gaming. A plethora of amazing games were released, giving gamers more than enough to pick from. Naturally, some of the best titles slipped through the fingers of even the most ardent gaming fans. Fortunately, this feature will alert you to some of the underappreciated games that deserve more attention than they received. System Shock 1994. The game that started it all as far as story-driven action and sci-fi shooters are concerned. Yes, we are talking of course about System Shock. At the time of its release, it garnered good reviews and slowly but surely built a cult following. System Shock is ahead of its time in many ways, blending cyberpunk elements with horror. Players take control of a nameless protagonist who wishes to put a stop to the nefarious AI Shodan. It may be difficult for modern gamers to get into the swing of things, but it is worth it. Flashback 1992. For gaming veterans, Flashback needs no introduction. For the rest, Flashback is a cinematic action shooter, and the gameplay still holds up to this day. The game stars Conrad, who awakens on the planet Titan with no idea how he got there. It launched to positive reviews and went on to inspire a plethora of games. A word of warning though, if you're interested in the game, don't play Flashback 2 as it is a buggy mess that does a disservice to the classic original game. Grim Fandango 1998. Grim Fandango struggled to gain respectable sales upon launch, despite the fact that it received favorable reviews. Grim Fandango was praised for its writing, imaginative world accentuated by its impeccable art style. Within the game, players take control of Manny Calavera, who is on a mission to save Mercedes Colomore. The game is often listed as one of the greatest games of all time, giving you more than enough reasons to give it a shot. Night Trap 1992. Full motion video, or FMV, had its heyday, but there aren't many to go around any longer. Night Trap arguably took FMV to the next level. The game is humorous as players are tasked with setting up traps to stop a group of people from being hunted by intruders. The controls aren't easy to learn, which might make it hard for modern gamers to wrap their heads around. It's worth researching the history of the game, as it is one of the titles that led to the creation of the ESRB, which ranks the age appropriateness of games. Night Trap is far from your traditional game, so get ready for a few surprises and a new way of handling gameplay. Lemmings 1991. Lemmings is a cute game based on the often touted false claim that the creatures are so dumb they'll follow each other right off a cliff. Players take control of a group of lemmings to guide them to safety. There isn't much of a plot to worry about, and players merely need to focus on completing each level while avoiding obstacles that lead the cute creatures into danger. The lemmings constantly follow each other while players attempt to steer them away from dangers, such as water, heights, and falling into lava. If you still have your PSP lying around, you can play a remastered version of the game that features all 120 original levels plus 36 brand new levels. Monkey Island 2: LeChuck's Revenge 1991. Some games have the misfortune of being overshadowed by their predecessor, even if they are good titles. This is the case with Monkey Island 2. It's by no means a bad game, but players fell in love with the original title so much more. The game stars Guybrush Threepwood solving various puzzles to progress. Like other titles in this list, Monkey Island 2 struck a chord with critics, but it didn't quite manage to translate that to commercial success. If you're curious about this important piece of gaming history, a remake is available on various platforms, including Windows and the iPhone. Day of the Tentacle 1993. Day of the Tentacle is a graphic adventure game that serves as the sequel to 1987's Maniac Mansion. Luckily, you won't have to play the first game to enjoy the second one. This idea might sound zany, but that's exactly what the developers were going for here. It's filled with humor and stunning animations to keep even contemporary gamers entertained. And it's not too late to try this game, as a remastered version is available on PS4, PC, and the PlayStation Vita. Clock Tower 1995. The 90s had its fair share of horror games, so it comes as no surprise that some slipped under the radar even though they were fantastic games. This is the case with Clock Tower, a horror title developed by Human Entertainment. It's a point-and-click survival horror game, and while you won't see many of those floating around anymore, the gameplay is good enough to make it worth a try in 2024. Using the cursor, players take control of Jennifer Simpson, giving her commands that'll help her survive. As she explores, she is stalked by a man named Scissorhands, which makes for a heart-stopping experience. Oddworld: Abe's Oddysee 1997. Oddworld is a franchise that has endured to this day. As one of the first entries in the series, it set the tone for what would become of the series later. The stars of the show are Abe, who is a Madokan slave who discovers that his people are going to be slaughtered. This sparks an adventure to try and save as many Madokan as possible. It's a great game, but be warned that it's not the easiest experience out there. Checkpoints are sparse and it has a rather steep learning curve, but even in 2024, it's worth playing for its dark humor and social commentary. Snake's Revenge 1990. The next entry on this list is a lesser-known title from the highly popular Metal Gear franchise. It was released in 1990 as a non-canonical sequel to the original Metal Gear for the NES, and while Hideo Kojima wasn't involved in its development, it still makes for an amazing Metal Gear game. The standalone sequel to Metal Gear features all the tactical espionage you could want. Like other games in the series, the aim is to sneak past guards and avoid detection. It brings its fair share of action, and while it may be a little too dated for modern audiences, it still holds a special place in gaming history. Beneath a Steel Sky 1994. An interesting game with an even more interesting title, Beneath a Steel Sky is a point-and-click adventure game set in a dystopian future, where players take control of Robert Foster as he uncovers the secrets of a city controlled by a corrupt AI. It received stellar reviews, with many praising its cyberpunk aesthetic and humorous writing. Despite its critical success, the game has mostly been lost to the annals of time, which is a pity because it still holds up well in terms of its plot and gameplay. Phantasmagoria 1995. Another point-and-click adventure game makes the list with Phantasmagoria. It centers on Adrian Delaney, who is a writer who moves into a remote mansion. The only problem is that there are supernatural forces afoot, and they're not friendly. It features live-action shots, and it could be described as an interactive movie game. It was a best-selling game upon release, but so many FMV games have been released since that, gamers of today may not have had the chance to visit this spectacular title. Outcast 1999. Outcast is an open-world game that features Cutter Slade, who explores the alien world of Adelpha. It combines adventure elements with exploration and a sci-fi aesthetic. In many ways, the game is ahead of its time, featuring an expansive open world for players to get lost in. Much of the game focuses on Cutter's interactions with the Talon aliens. If he treats them well, they'll be eager to help. If he doesn't, they become hostile and unwilling to aid Cutter. Outcast didn't do so well as far as sales go, though critics did appreciate the ambitiousness of the project. Spyro the Dragon 1998. Nowadays, Spyro is a household name, but this wasn't always the case. The first game, released in 1998, was a platformer featuring the titular purple dragon and his dragonfly friend Sparks, who aimed to journey across the Dragon Kingdom to defeat Nasty Nork. The platformer was critically acclaimed, but sales were initially slow, though they picked up during the holiday season. For anyone looking for a retro platformer that still holds up to this day, this is a title not to be missed. And with that, we reach the end of this video. Have anything to say? Let us know in the comments below. Also, we upload new videos every single day on GamingBolt, so please consider subscribing as it really helps us out. Thanks for watching.